Chapter 7. At Elo's Observatory. Specialized in research and study of meteoroids' behavior, and expressly concerned with the planet Earth discovered anew, there was one of a few astrophysical facilities working under the supervision of X-PECT. Secluded in an outlying area in the night region, or the dark side as they used to call it. This location was convenient for experts and scientists to help them with their studies and observations, as was the case with all those concerned with outer space, wherein two scientists looked exhausted, breached the serenity, working and moving around between some advanced and intricate devices of the fully equipped room, when one of them noticed something. "These numbers seem so illogic," remarked the younger-looking scientist. "Write them down anyway, Lana," demanded the other, who was sitting in front of one of the devices, taking some notes in his notebook. Lana was working with the data provided by her senior on a holographic computer in front of her. They were completely immersed in their work when they heard a sudden faint beep from one of the devices surrounding them. While Lana did not seem to care too much about that sound, her senior showed a little more concern as he was gawking at a far device on the other side of the room. "What?" he suddenly cried. "What happened, Dad?" Lana inquired surprisingly about her father's reaction to the minor sound, shifting her face between him and where he had his eyes fixed. She then jumped to her feet, heading to the device where she examined the data displayed before her face turned pale, and she muttered, "This is impossible." Frightened, the old yet youthful-looking man stood up. He joined her quickly, and both were going through the readings in front of them. Their eyes were moving between a screen over the corner and another bigger one beside it. The latter was a device that analyzed and drew indicative maps and graphs that reflected the data entered by both scientists and compared it with other predefined information built into the system. In the middle of the room was a digital, three-dimensional model construct reflecting all the data combined. The model was progressing slowly, building up what seemed to be a realistic simulation of a celestial motion at a certain point in time, in the near future. "No, it is possible," the old man sighed and said. "We did not think it could happen." He scratched his chin while carefully checking the displayed data and added, "In fact, we hoped it would not." Then he leaned forward closer to the screens, staring at them, adjusting his spectacles in doubt each time he shifted his gaze between the various screens, wishing there might be something wrong with his vision. "What are you doing?" Lana asked her father nervously when she noticed him picking up his phone. "I am calling Elo, of course. What else?" he replied in an even more apprehensive manner than his daughter. "Yes, Pat." Elo's voice sounded from the surrounding loudspeakers once the call was connected. "Yes, Elo." With a shaking voice, Pat replied, "I have to tell you something." "I am listening," Elo answered, alerted. Pat nervously responded, "We received a red alert from P15, and the readings on the screen contradict all that we previously had." "What are the readings?" asked Elo in a more attentive tone. Pat looked closely at the device and replied, "F214 vertical and increasing by a rate of 0.02. Then suddenly another beep went off again, and the readings changed. "No, wait, the rate now is 0.021, he corrected himself. Okay, I am coming, do not tell anyone," Elo answered back with firmness. "Okay, Elo, we won't," Pat responded, then disconnected the call, terrified, and looked at Lana, who seemed more puzzled and appalled than when she first heard the beep. Despite their apparent weariness, the tense atmosphere forced them to move faster around the congested observatory. Pat was checking the readings from all devices again, trying not to miss a single one of them. Lana was updating the previous ones that they got before that recent diversion. Both were undertaking to record everything right before Elo's arrival. The shocking readings, which somehow appeared unexpected, represented an alarming turn in the course of events, notwithstanding all the probable variables and patterns they have considered. Elo, who took less time than he ought to, arrived at the observatory while both entirely engaged in their notes, devices and screens. "Tell me the updates quick," he demanded without even saying hello, then started moving around the place to check all the data himself, reading the charts while the other two handed their notes to him. "The data is changing faster than it should," Lana remarked, while pointing at the various screens in the room, each displaying a different output. Is there any feedback from other stations? Elo asked without looking at her while still dissecting the information in their notebooks and observing the screens simultaneously. We did not try to make any contact with them as you requested, but we received some reports stating the same, responded Pat while handing Elo the reports. The latter reached out with one hand to take it, while typing something with the other, still not looking except at the screen facing him. When he failed to grasp the papers from Pat's hands, he raised his eyes only to notice him petrified, spotting something behind Elo's back. Involuntarily, Elo turned around to face whatever Pat was staring at, and so did Lana. For a moment, the three were trembling, looking at the center of the room, where the progressive three-dimensional digital model was forming and was about to be completed. The collective simulation of the planets was indeed astounding. Yet it did not show theirs as they had known it all their lives. It showed it in what might be its near future, but in a wholly unfamiliar condition that exacerbated their fears. The planet was hastening in its axial rotation,